Hello movie fans. Today's video is about a sci-fi thriller movie set in the year 2022 called The Purge. America have been ravaged by an ever-increasing crime rate and violence acts, which prompted the US government to sanction an annual event called The Purge. It lasts for 12 hours and during this period, all criminal activity including murder is legal. The Purge was instigated by the new founding fathers, which leads us to believe that the old US government had completely collapsed, and gave this cult-like group free reign over the country's domestic policy. The movie starts with our protagonist James Sandon, driving home on Purge Day. He is on the phone with his colleague discussing work-related matters. James is a sales representative for the company that manufactures safety equipment for Purge Day. As he is driving around the suburbs, we can see people around the neighborhood putting down blue flowers outside their homes to show their support for the Purge. Quite ironic for blue flowers to be the symbol of such a bloody event, but hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Meanwhile, the radio playing in James's car points out that even though the act of purging led to a record decrease in unemployment and crime rates, not everyone agrees with the practice, as it systematically targets those who can't afford to defend themselves. James then stops for a quick chat with his neighbor about the security system he sold him, then wishes him good luck. He then gets home 1 hour before the purge starts, to make the final preparations with his family. His wife Mary, his son Charlie, and his daughter Zoe, who happens to be in her room with her boyfriend Henry, who quickly sneaks out from the balcony seeing as James is not a fan of his daughter dating an older guy. We then cut to a scientist on television explaining the benefits of the purge, and how it enables society to be stable and disciplined, by containing all aggression and violence to one evening in the year. Mary goes out to put some blue flowers outside the house, and greets some of the neighbors and wishes them a safe night. One of the neighbors, Grace, is clearly jealous of Mary's family, because James sold safety equipment to the entire community, and got a big fat bonus off their backs. Pretty sure there is no need to worry about her. They then say goodbye to each other after some obvious foreshadowing, and we cut to Charlie playing with his modified RC tank around the house, and scaring his mom with it. This kid attached a burned out doll named Timmy to an RC tank, instead of playing with an Xbox or flying a drone. What the f? Charlie then comes out of his lair, and goes downstairs to scare his mom one last time. Purge Day clearly makes him nervous, so Mary tells him to remember all the good it does, is what matters by the end of the day. We are supposed to be rooting for these guys. The family then gathers for dinner and it goes as well as you expect it. James wants to hear about everybody's day. Charlie is taking his vitals for no apparent reason, and Zoe is being Zoe. A few minutes before the purge starts, the family gets ready for lockdown. James opens his gun safe, and decides to grab the smallest gun just as a precaution. He then activates the security system, which barricades every door and window in the house with thick steel fortifications. They then gather around to watch the official emergency broadcasting system that signals the start of the annual Purge games, the Purge, and explains the rules. Don't bother, I won't be explaining any of it because I'm too lazy to do some research, so here we go. Only weapons of class 4 and lower are authorized. Government officials of ranking 10 are immune to the virus, the Purge. Police and medical services will be unavailable during the purge. All criminal activity must cease once the purge concludes. The siren then sounds signaling the start of the purge. James tells his family that even though bad things will be happening tonight, they will be safe since they are hiding behind thousands of dollars worth of security equipment. Before everyone goes about their night, Charlie asks his father why doesn't he purge. James tells him that they don't feel the need to do so, but if they had to they would participate because the purge works, and it saved the country. Meanwhile, Zoe is in her room listening to music when Henry surprises her. He snuck in when they were having dinner. After some useless flirting, he explains to Zoe that he's actually here to see her father, and he's trying to get him to change his mind about their relationship. Good luck with that. Charlie meanwhile is back at his lair playing with his RC tank. He gets to his dad's surveillance room and notices a man running for his life, asking for help in the security cameras. After investigating further, he decides to deactivate the security system, and let the guy come inside the house. James, who is shopping for a yacht on Amazon, is startled by the barricade suddenly deactivating and immediately runs to get the systems back up and running. He then rushes downstairs and finds out that the guy managed to get inside his house. Right at that moment, Henry comes downstairs and points his gun at James. They exchange gunfire, and despite Henry having the high ground and element of surprise advantage to his side, he still misses all of his shots, but James manages to shoot him in the chest. I understand that these two are in love, but Henry, who is clearly not a great shot, tried to shoot James when he was standing right next to his wife and son, effectively putting the entire family at risk. Yet Zoe is still trying to help the guy out after what he did.
With you, I can be sad.
The other man seized the opportunity and ran away. After the family comes to terms with what just happened and collects itself, a new group of purgers gather outside the Sandins' house and ask to FaceTime Mr. James. They introduce themselves as a group of wealthy and highly educated individuals who really took the purge to a fanatic level of dedication. They explain to the Sandins that the man they're harboring escaped right after killing one of them, and that they need to hand him over or else they will be forced to break in and kill everyone in the house. James and Mary, having no choice but to comply, decide to go looking for the intruder in the house and capture him. Charlie, on the other hand, is doing the exact opposite and opts to help the man by guiding him to his secret hideout with the help of his RC tank. Good job, Charlie. The men and women outside are getting impatient with James, who can't find the man, and urge him to hurry up. Meanwhile, Zoe, who is still traumatized by Henry's death, decides to go to Charlie's secret spot and hide there until everything clears out, only to get taken hostage by the intruder, who threatens not to let go of her until the night ends. Mary comes in from behind in the hopes of cornering the man, but the whole situation leads to him getting shot when James decides to get the jump on him while he's distracted. James then knocks the man unconscious with one of his expensive porcelain pots. They then try to gift wrap the man and take him outside. With the help of some desperate measures from the couple, aka press on the man's gunshot wound with a sharp object, they manage to convince the man to stop resisting arrest. Charlie does not approve and runs away. Zoe does not approve and runs away. Mary does not approve and runs away. James then sits face to face with the intruder and realizes that he's a soldier and not a homeless man. The soldier accepts his fate and tells James to save his family and take him outside. How about that? Unfortunately, the group outside decided to siege the house and kill everyone regardless. They tear through the house barricades easily.
Yeah, it's the same one I use. I only sell the best.
James finally decides to grab a shotgun. Good job, James. Then a game of deathmatch is in order in the Sandins map. As the family works together to clear objectives around the map and kills all of the non-essential characters, James gets knifed in the stomach by the leader of the group, who, as far as I can tell, was hiding behind that corner the whole time waiting for him to come closer. Evil Boy then lays James on the ground, thanks him for his sacrifice, and gives him a kiss good life. Charlie is watching the fight on Twitch, Zoe is hiding under the bed, Mary gets cornered by two of the purgers who take their sweet time tickling her. The neighbors show up and kill them. They then go on to clean up the rest of the group off camera. Because the movie probably ran out of budget by that point, the leader shows up with a shotgun for a triple kill on the Sandins, but Zoe kills him as soon as he finishes his monologue. Good job, Zoe. The neighbors are back. Mary thanks them only to realize that they wanted to kill them themselves. Apparently, the Sandins made so much money off of the community, and the moment the barricades fell, they saw an opportunity to cleanse themselves of all the hatred and envy. They then duct tape Mary and her children and stand in a circle around them like weirdos, to execute them. After yet another long monologue, Grace, decides to go first. Timmy comes to the rescue as a diversion. Good job, Timmy. The soldier sneaks up from behind Assassin's Creed style and grabs Grace, right before killing one of the neighbors that I'm too tired to remember what his name is at this point, so let's call him the man who was walking his dog earlier. The soldier lines up the remaining neighbors under gunpoint and asks Mary to decide what to do with them. Grace, wants to die so badly that she's begging for it, but Mary refuses, saying that they had enough killing for one night and then that they are going to play the rest of it in mother effing peace. She actually said that. I swear. They then sit around the table and decide to talk it out like adults, swearing and cursing at each other. Mary is looking at her husband resting in peace in the other room, when Grace, decides to grab the shotgun from her hands, but Mary quickly overpowers her and breaks her nose with the shotgun and smashes her face against the table. As the siren of the end goes off, Mary asks the neighbors to calmly and politely get the hell out of her house, and thanks the soldier one last time for everything he's done. The end. I hope you enjoyed my take on this movie. More critical recaps are expected as soon as I find myself willing to waste hours sifting through footage and coming up with a script. Thank you all.